and it was mentioned on Monday by my good friend Justice Chitembwe, is the issue of management of complaints. That is the elephant in the room. If you ask me, I'll write 1,000 pages or tell you a story for 10 weeks on what it costs, the opportunity cost of answering a complaint.
Complaint.
So what we are saying is let the JSC take a decisive role in dealing with complaints. I don't know whether Commissioner Gishoi, not Gishoi, but the representative for Advocate Macharia is here, and I want to use my example. You want to please allow me that.
Without going through the details about it.
Yes, in 2013, I get a complaint. In 2015, we deal with it, and I am successful. In 2019, the same complainant brings a complaint against 6 of us, 5 in the Employment and Liberations Court, 1 in the High Court.
Okay.
And the JSC forwards it to me for answer. That is the issue.
Okay.
What is the capacity of a complaints?
The Commission, you're the Chief Justice, and I want us to focus on the organs, not individual offices, organs that you can utilize, that you can be able to touch, that can be able to make those changes. As Chairperson of the Commission, as Chief Justice, could you share with us those organs within the Commission that you can either strengthen or establish or abolish? I
am not versed with the workings of the Judicial Service Commission. I will not score 40% on that one. But I can mention the areas which I would touch, and then maybe it can be linked to the organs, so that when like the issue of complaints, the body behind that one would have to be streamlined.
Two.
The issue on the growing of development would have to be touched on, because this is where our infrastructure is infrastructure and other materials that we utilize, like the ICT is anchored. We would have to touch that. The issue of human resource is very, very critical, because without human resource, we are as good as dead. We are not in business. We can have all the courthouses, all the buildings, all the it will not be any business. So those critically are the 3 areas that I would like to touch. Start with.
Let's take human resource, because that's very critical.
Please.
And you talked about making the staff happy, not to fool around, and you talked about a result-oriented approach. I want us to focus on customer-oriented approach. You have been saying about being happy and the rest. We are you to have the customer-oriented approach to make sure the staff are able to produce in terms of productivity. What will be your targets? What did you do to make sure that you have a very clear strategy on how you are going to motivate your staff?
One, let us agree that staff will require facilities to motivate. Staff will require education, training, because I could as well give you an elephant, but you do not appreciate the value of an elephant, so it is not a serious business. Education and training to be able to understand where we are, what we are doing for them. I will allow staff to have their liberty. In fact, if I became Chief Justice, like I suggested 3 years ago in a colloquium, I would allow every officer of the judiciary in their respective capacities to, if they choose, form trade unions. Why? Because it is easier to deal with something which is organized than to deal with a hazard and amorphous things. Groups. We have quite a number of suits on salaries. We have issues of, confrontations between the JSC and the staff, etc. This can only be achieved if we have a structured system for those staff members to deal with us. It would even be time years and a better way of dealing with it, because we don't have everybody working individually to deal with their matter.
Very good.
Please.
Talking about training and developing the staff, I want you to focus on the role of GTI and as chairperson of the commission. Where would you place GTI? What kind of facilities would you give that institute to make sure that it is able to give the service to the staff and to judicial officers also? GTI.
The JTI, today is not the JTI we had 8 years ago. JTI was big, it was brilliant, and it was very, very good. You'd go there and meet on international, conferences. The JTI, I anticipated even from then, was a JTI which was a complex. I'm not quoting or copying anybody. This is my experience the first time I landed at the JTI. A complex. We do an institution which is self-contained, which is good, good to go.
So what has gone wrong?
I would not know. Earlier I said that I'm not an insider, and it was not...
But Judge, you've been here for 9 years.
Is that insider?
Yes, 9 years, long enough. 10 years, kid is going to primary school.
I think we may have to revise our English.
Okay.
Insider to me means somebody who is actively involved in the administration of the judiciary.
Okay.
I am a judicial officer. I'm inside, yes, but at the periphery.
At the periphery.
Those areas are not mine.
Okay.
But on the JTI, that one, without even from where I am, because it's an institution I love so much. It's a place I value so highly. Firstly, give it the requisite personnel. We had a very good JTI in the reign of the Honorable the Attorney General. We had a very good JTI in the reign of Justice Professor Ngugi.
Okay.
Excellent. It went diddling, I believe, because of finances and maybe administrative issues. I do not know. But what I will do is firstly facilitate competent personnel to deal with the institution. Secondly, deal with it. Have international linkages. The personnel who go there must link it to other international similar institutions or even greater institutions, so that it becomes a benchmark. We can benchmark with them. Infrastructure.
Okay.
We would have to do it well, so that you have been to the KIA. It has changed names. I can't remember. The infrastructure, the KIA. Which is, I've been there twice, thrice, I can't remember, but it's an excellent facility for mobility in government. Government doing its own affairs.
Okay.
JTI should go that direction and even improve on that. Somebody suggested in the interviews that we should own it. There has been a resistance by the owners. That one I know. I'm a friend of the good Professor Ngugi. So when that kind of issue arises, we should not stay there and mourn that, they are resisting. Look for land and start afresh.
Okay, Judge. Let's move on to something else now.
Please.
You're talking about financial independence of judiciary.
Yes.
Lack of funds.
Yes.
You need the funds. The Kenyans pay money, taxes, to fund the judiciary. If you get the position as a chairperson of the commission, do you need the funds from government, from the exchequer? Would you share with us, as a chairperson of the commission, as the head of the other arm of government, what strategies would you put in place to ensure that we get adequate funds? 3 strategies, please. 3.
1, take care of whatever we have from the government of the Republic of Kenya, the Judiciary Fund, establish it, take our share, and claim for more if it is possible. When we have that, we are well anchored. If that and it is not going to be enough, then we do fundraising. Fundraising is a contact with our friends and other stakeholders so that they assist us in raising funds to do a magnificent JTI, buy some 20 acres of land and get money to do it and raise it in the next 3-4 years.
Those are
doable. Fundraising and donor.
Donor fundraising.
What we have not looked at is, being conservative in a way, prudent and a conservative user of what we have. Government is known for buying this pen for 500 shillings. I started using this pen in my TSC days. I don't remember what it was that, but I know this pen costs 230 shillings. At most 240. If I move to Prestige up here, I'll get it with my 230 and 40. So prudent utilization of what we have.
Okay.
We complain over nothing. We just abuse resources.
Honorable Judge,
please.
You are the chairperson of the commission. You are the head of this arm of government. You are talking about the total budget of judiciary. Yes, and I want to hear from you as a chairperson of the commission. And you know the government cycle. I've seen from you have a lot of years. You have 17 years in the AG's office, 5 years in the TSC as a public officer. I mean, how do we find other organs of government? What the system? What do we use? Apart from fundraising, you fundraise for judiciary. The following day, somebody comes for dispute in your court. So I want to focus on that law. The Kenyans are responsible for funding national institutions. And you are the head of judiciary. You are the chairperson of the commission. How would you, the strategy that you make sure that you get enough funds?
You have to put in a hard bargain.
Hard bargain.
Our issue is history. From 1960, how has the judiciary been treated in our national politics? What position have we taken? Below, even prior to 1963, how was it taken? Because we have had a judiciary here for the last 140 years. This is what we must dismantle. Okay. We must put out our foot forward and acquire our possession. When you acquire our possession, we must be able to say it very, very succinctly that you are not doing us a favor. Treasury, you are not doing us a favor. Of course, politely.
Okay. You have mentioned treasury.
Otherwise, you will not get anything.
You have mentioned
treasury. Before you even get to treasury, we have the three organs of government: the legislature, the executive, and they are headed by their CEOs. We have two. Speakers of the National Assembly. You'll find it interesting to sit as government in totality. And when you sit with the government in totality, you don't even, nothing is not an issue of power, it's not an issue of possessions, it's not an issue personal.
Okay.
Let us do Kenya proud. And in that way, you'll be able to say, this is this, this is this. The biggest issue with Kenya is that we go very personal, not in government, everywhere. I don't know whether it's a human issue, humanity issue, or is a Kenyan issue. But we go very personal over very small things.
Okay.
And there we are. But you can get out of this.
So
you can teach everybody out of this.
Okay.
You can have organized and constructive discussion with the other heads of the other government institutions.
So if you walk into the National Treasury as the chairperson of the commission, where are you working to in the National Treasury as a chairperson of the commission?
As a chairperson of the commission, I would walk straight to the cabinet secretary.
To the registration? The registration, to what office are you will be working to?
That is executive. That is
the treasurer is okay. The CS. I'm now on the registration.
You go directly to the speaker, to the chief executive of the legislature.
To the speaker.
Justin Muturi and the other gentleman. Now that I'm under pressure, I may not remember his name.
Okay.
You go to them and you chat it out. You thrash out issues for Kenya.
That's fine. To the executive?
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya.
Oh, very good, very good, very good. Finally, the judiciary, I'm sure this one you will have an idea, the Judiciary Leadership and Advisory Council. I presume that is more or less the cabinet of judiciary in terms of the internal organization.
The Judiciary
Leadership and Advisory Council.
Yes.
Are you aware about it?
JLAC. I am.
Yes. If you have to get there as a chairperson of that council,
yes,
the first meeting or the first 2 meetings, what will be your agenda?
My agenda would be a review. Firstly, a review or an assessment of how far we have gone insofar as judiciary administration is concerned. And having achieved that, I would, in the next meeting, I would get to foment the way forward. I mean, where have we failed? What is our success? Do we have any balances? And if we have balances, how do we move? What is our way forward?
Okay. My final question, Madam Chair, Honorable Judge, you talked very passionately about staff and making staff happy. But you also need the staff to produce, to be productive, to be efficient. In the event that staff are not that productive or efficient, someone is behind the targets. As a chairperson of this commission, and those issues come to the commission from the Human Resource Committee, what kind of punitive or kind of collective measures or framework would you have, would you recommend?
With staff, these are human beings, these are persons.
Yes.
You would have to be very kamhadi, very cordial, etc. So that you get to win them. I talked about winning them or buying them.
Yes.
When they are with you, they'll be able to get back to Kenya and make Kenya happy. When an eventuality like yours comes, and they must be there because we are diversified, we are human beings. Our capacities, work is a gift. You're gifted to work ABC. They are the so-called lazy persons. That is the word we use. They cannot do as much. They are those who cannot do anything.
Carrot and stick. Carrot and stick.
By whatever name called. Thank you.
Yes.
And you have to be able to know how to manage that. And human resource has got its own programs for dealing with that. We are not saying that we just want to make friends. No. We are making friends with a view to attaining something for this country. We want to transform the entirety of the country, not necessarily the judiciary. That is why our people must work and live, free Kenyans.
That's
to do
enough
their
for
work.
me, Judge. I didn't want to pursue it further, but finally,
please.
You are in the TSC.
Yes.
And the TSC came to a point where you had to disengage.
Yes.
Without going to the merits or the merits of the matter.
Yes.
There was a retirement in public interest.
Yes.
In public interest.
Yes.
Just very briefly, what was it about?
I have made mitigating circumstances. I have that here.
No. You don't have to refer. Just
one. Nobody. I was given a letter headed "Retirement on Public Interest." The first notice was thanking me. The second issue was wishing me well, and it had ended there. in law or even in practice or in sense, when it is such a grave matter which you must learn to live with, please explain and say, on this ground, etc., we retire you and on public interest.
Okay.
Nothing. I'm still blind.
Okay.
I would have to walk to the TSC to know why I was retired on public interest.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Judge. Wish you well.
Thank you, and thank you again.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, would you want to take a short break?
I am okay, but I'm not speaking for anybody else. I am okay, thank you.
Okay, if you're okay, then we are okay as commissioners.
Please.
So I would like now to call upon Commissioner Koskei to ask questions.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, sir.
Mine will be very short. My first question is, if you are a CJ tomorrow, what are the first three things that you will check when you wake up in the morning?
The first one, and which will not take me an hour, is the issue of the 41 judges. Earlier on, I said that I would get the Deputy Chief Justice, the Acting Chief Justice, as we speak, the CRJ for a meeting in the next 1 hour. The next matter I would deal with is the issue of ascertaining our financial position, and the CRJ is here, so that is in our fingertips. And on that also, I would wish to understand from herself her operations. What is due? What is not due? How is it done? I do not know how it is done. She would have to teach me instantly.
Judge, let me interject. I really want to know. You see, when I'm asking you three important things that you perhaps will be, checking almost every day when you wake up. As you are entering when you are entering judiciary. No, three things. The first three things that when you wake up like this, you have to check as a Chief Justice.
One, I would have to compare notes with the Chief Justice to check on the issue of finances. That one is very critical because it can cripple us. In fact, the publicity itself is bad enough. We need not have stolen. When we have a story going around that this and that has happened to our finances, it becomes a crisis. We
Yes.
are even we get ungovernable.
Number two.
The second one is checking on the morale of our staff. What is happening in Nairobi? What is happening in Mombasa? Every other day you must ascertain that all is well. And if it is not well, you address that. The third one would be, that one would be on a performance. The Directorate on Performance Management, the CRJ and the HR, our heads of stations would have to constantly on a daily basis, maybe daily or 2-day basis, give us a brief on how we are progressing insofar as our service areas are concerned. So
Thank you very much. I think you've answered.
Please.
Now, my second question is on customer service. You are an insider, though you are denying that you are not an insider. 9 years in a particular institution will make you an insider in all the description and definitions in English. So, in judiciary, there is a problem when it comes to customer service, and the public are always concerned, especially a very long turnaround, time on payment of funds or fines, refunds of bails, and the reception. If you go to courts, people get confused. They don't even know. People get lost. They are in corridors. Even some Some innocent people have been even jailed, as you almost jailed your staff. What strategies or reforms will you introduce to provide high quality and perhaps effective and efficient customer service in the entire judiciary?
One, I am not sure whether we have a policy on a customer care or service. If there is none, we would have to do one in so little time, where so little time means 90 days. When that is hard, the next issue is commitment to duty, morale in doing that work. I know two offices in the judiciary which are par excellence and which score a lot. I don't know whether they have the permission to they do an excellent job. One is strictly customer care, the bench liaison at room 440 up there, the registrar of the High Court, excellent. The transport division is excellent. Why have they been able to achieve that? Because of their morale, their commitment to duty. So you inculcate commitment. And you be firm on this one, because how do we achieve satisfaction by the Kenyan public without good custom service? It will not be available. So you train, you cajole, you enforce and achieve. And those are things, if we have a policy, even without a policy, those are not the things you require 2 weeks to achieve. The CRJ is here, everybody is on the ground, there's nothing lacking. So it's just a question of a change of attitude. And that one you can get. If you have people who do not want to do that, you have your choices. You are an administrator.
Thank you.
The rules of the game are known.
Thank you. You have answered, Judge. You have answered. My third question is on statutes that are always used to run the management of public institutions. And you know, there are 5 main ones. One is Public Audits Act 2015, Public Procurement Disposal Act 2015, Employment Act, PFM Act, and the judiciary also there is Unclaimed Financial Assets Act. I've seen that you were in TSC, which is a public institution.
Yes.
And you are in charge of the legal desk.
Yes.
Which means that you are a member of the tender committee, obviously.
Yes, I was a member of the tender committee very briefly.
Now, and you must have interacted with the law, procurement law. I wanted to get your thoughts. You know, Procurement and Disposal Act from Exchequer and Auditor Act of 2001, and we came to 2005, the one that now you interacted with for almost 4 or 5 years. They had very clear objectives: transparency, accountability, value for money, etc., etc. I want to know, has this law, or to what extent has it, achieved its objectives, and what are the limitations of this law? Because you are coming in as a CJ, and every other time you are interacting with the CRJ on issues of management, issues of governance. I really wanted to understand, because this is one statute that it will be on your desk every day. Judge?
I'll attempt to answer your question, but not based on my exposure at the Teacher Service Commission or anywhere else. I am not exposed on this whatsoever. I lasted very, very little time in the Committee on Procurement in the Teacher Service Commission. Not 3 months out of my 5 years. I think there was a coup d'etat, and I was removed and concentrated on what I was supposed to do there. So on that, there's an issue of what we have as the law and what we have as the reality. It is one thing to have the law. It is the other thing to have it practiced. That is a big issue we are having with the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And that is why there is a lot of hullabaloo in this country. The same, going back to where you are starting, this is a procurement law. We say one thing, we do the other. That is where we are. So how would we be able to deal with that one? Monitoring, enforcement, and strict enforcement. We would also be able to law as sanctions, deal with cases of defiance, deal with cases of infringement of what you are supposed to do. Lack of due diligence, it requires monitoring. This is an area where we require a lot of monitoring because as we speak, procurement in this country, virtually everywhere is an ISO. In fact, I'm very, very happy that to us in the judiciary, we've not had that kind of mammoth issues. Thank you so much, those who are involved in that. But we know what procurement is. We know the law is available, etc., etc. Why don't we choose to do the job? And because we know who we are working with, why don't we choose to deal with them so that they are able to produce? Why don't we choose to even retest our integrity so that we are able to do the good work? Buy this pen at 250. I mean, I would not mind. We are not going. I mean, procurement laws are not going to allow us to walk to the bookshop out there and buy. I mean, formal stock, personal, yes. But when we do that, let us do it without abundance.
Thank you.
That is the work of the CEO.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, you have answered. My other question, which is my second last, is that currently there is a perception out there, especially from employers, that your court, that is Employment and Labor Relations Court, has been captured, that it is a code for a labor movement that gives direction, even to when the current constitutional amendment that is going on now. One of the most senior labor movement leaders said, you can change anything, but don't touch my court. And they refer to a court. What do you have to say about that?
We shall entitle every Kenyan to what they want to say, as long as it does not offend the law. It is their constitutional right. It is their basic human right. We entitle them to that. You are also aware, good commissioner, that labor is activists and a political issue. Very, very unfortunate because we can do it professionally. But from the onset, it has always been an activist. So what the judge does is stay aloof to all that so that you are able to do your work effectively and without interference. You stay aloof of any sector, whether it is the employers, whether it is the employees, and whatever they say. You just take it straight, like every other Kenyan would do that, and maintain your distance. What I would like to say about that is, like I've said, good enough. Let them say it. The other one, the other answer, they are saying that don't touch my court. Who are they telling not to touch their court? Good enough. Their court, that's plain English. Do they own it? That's another issue. Is that going to really influence the decision making insofar as the court is concerned in government? Another one. Those are all issues which will come to the administration in this country, the political administration in this country. That is their desk. The judge sits here and remains neutral to his profession. Judgeship is a difficult matter. It's a job of denial. When you're a judicial officer, you must stay aloof, you must stay away, you must live alone. I thank God.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge. Now, let me end up by seeking some clarifications here. One is your card from People with Disability Council, I don't know the name, where it is written visual stroke mental, and you saw it the first day. It is now 6 years. You even went ahead and told us that a friend of yours who knows the repercussions or the effect of having that statement on your card, he told you to be careful because it can bring in issues. I'm not convinced that you just ignore it like that, because it's a very serious issue. The issuer of that card is a statutory institution that is technically qualified to recommend, and we cannot challenge in as far as their decision is made. But now that you are carrying that card for all those years, for one time, you will be haunted by the writings on that card.
It has never occurred, and the judge, we have our own personalities. We cater to. We have our own creations. I have over 340 leave days left. I mean, a balance with myself. I am a workaholic. I am not. My personal look is not myself. I'm missionary. I love it when everybody else is happy. So peripheral issues like that one, now it has become an issue today. I don't know for what good or bad reasons. I can address it. It just requires me a day or two. Unfortunately, I'm not a Nairobian, but I can invest that time there and have it done. But it never occurred to me that it was, if you ask me, it was a non-issue. When I was addressed by the expert, I said I would do it. But it's not in my style to just touch on anything which I have no regard for. Okay, Jai,
so are you saying you are going to amend it? Are you going there?
Instantly. In fact, tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. My other clarification that I wanted to seek from you is about this driver issue. Why are you so particular about one driver? I thought driving, you are driven to work, you are picked, you are taken home, even if you are passing by a supermarket, this normal way. Why do you want a mwangi? Why not a driver that when you give instructions as like anybody else, like an average human being, he will do it? Why are you insisting? Why do you want
I'm not insisting on mwangi. We can get it back, or we may not be able to get him back.
Yes.
Foremost, I'll insist on all the monies are paid to my drivers if the issue becomes an issue. Referred of whatever I've expended on the drivers in the last 13 to 6 years, if it becomes an issue. I have a driver as we speak. He's around, Stephen Kiprop, whom I acquired in my Kericho and Eldoret days. We are buddies. He's just my small boy, 28 years, and good to go. I would have, I would have anybody for a drive as long as you are able to meet what my needs. And my needs are sensitivity. I cannot drive. Even if I would drive, I'm not a good driver. I am a person with issues of health. So if you leave the car here, I would have to carry it. That is what we are saying. So flexibility, understanding is very, very important. If I become CJ, I may require more than one driver. We can pick Mwangi.
Yes.
If I don't become CJ, I'm content with Stephen Kiprop. Would you want us to absorb him tomorrow? I'll be very, very happy. I can even forego what I paid them all these years.
But Judge, going to the extent of even, paying, looking for your own driver, don't you see it is like off the mark, like it is not ordinary, it is not like any other person. You are totally different.
Yes, I am totally different. If you give me time, I would be able to tell you where I'm coming from. I wish you, Chair, give me some 2-3 minutes.
Go ahead. Your
There are 16 personality types in the world. That is the science of personality. I belong to one of them, the INFJ. The INFJ is 1% of the world, at most 1.5% of the world. And not on sampling. You don't sample 100 people here and imagine that one of them they are randomly all over. So you'll never be able to know when you meet one unless he confesses, etc., like I'm confessing. I only learned about this just the other day. But all my life, I've always known that I'm not an ordinary person. I have my issues. There are some things I take so passionately. Everybody else takes them very casually. I is introverted. N is intuitive. F is feeling. J is judgment. Those are my 4 qualities. The INFJs of this world are very introverted, very quiet persons. I could be in between INFJ and anything else because I'm just very verbose. What we are saying is that this is a special kind of person who is extraordinary and who cannot relate with everybody else.
So we have understood. So tell me now, you are applying for a position of CJ. That is a very senior position that you will be managed. You will be managed. Listen, your diary is being managed by somebody else. You are guided. You are told, move from here to there. There is this press conference. There is this meeting. They are talking notes here. How will you manage with you said F and something?
INFJ, you should have allowed me to complete that. That's half a minute to do that. INFJs are the best leaders in the world, but they don't go for it. They don't get out to get it. When you give them a chance is when you appreciate. And that is why this country should be given Njagi Marete for the Chief Justice. Because it will be extraordinary. Extraordinary dealing with this situation. And the results will be excellent. Ragadi and INFJ, I could give you other examples, but let me stop there.
Thank you, Judge. And finally, on the same, I want you to, because these are the decision makers on whether to give you a job or not. Can you assure us that you will not come and say, I don't want CRJ, I don't want DCJ, I don't want these members of the Supreme Court, I don't want even the way the building is organized. Can you give us an assurance so that when we are going forward, we know that we will not enter into a cost that we will not even manage to bear?
I am not going to take any Bible.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Judge.
I am not going to take any Bible and make any swearing whatsoever. But my personality tells it all. My policy as a person is one humanity, one equality. We are all equal. In any event, who would I be to come and dictate that we don't require A, B, C, D, and E here? It is demonstrated throughout my character that my personality is all-encompassing. We have my wife has been here for 38 years. I've been here for 6 years. No, not 6, 10 to 9 years. None of our children is anywhere near here. We have never aspired to bring them on board, etc., etc. So there is no possibility that I would choose to work. Those who know me closely, Kericho, Eldoret, and Nyeri, those who know me closely and would like to tell a true story, know that I treat everybody on their own merits. And that is how I've dealt. I would be the last person to want to come and want to say that I don't want A, B, C, and a D. It is not, I cannot even imagine it.
Very well, Judge. You have answered. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Koskei. Thank you, Your Honor. I now call upon Commissioner Orwande to ask the last set of questions. Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon, my Lord.
Good afternoon. How are you?
My Lord, I like it that, like me, you believe that employee motivation and welfare is a significant input towards improving service delivery. And I'm aware that you once vied to represent the KMJA as a male representative in this commission. So I believe you're alive to our issues, and I'm certain that you don't believe that a ban to accompany the tea that we take at 10 o'clock would be motivation or a welfare concern. So I want to ask you, Judge, to give 2 issues aside from salary, and one which you've already raised, which is training, 2 issues which are welfare concerns, which, if addressed, would motivate the judicial officers and staff in this institution.
Accommodation is one. We have workers. They are physical, beings. We have no emotional attachment to them. It is good to nurse and accommodate our workers. That is the only way. If you don't buy them, like I'm saying and saying repeatedly, if you don't buy them, if you don't cajole them, if you don't accommodate them, there are issues. Most of them are very, very young people. They have children and baby. They are in the stages of babying, etc., etc. So their social welfare and all other terms must be accommodated by the employer very, very, very well to motivate them. You must recognize them, their humanity, their personality, their issues, etc., etc. I remember in Kericho we tackled a case of one of our officers who had issues with a drink, and very successfully, but it refused to work because of a relapse and what have you. We even took him to some place in South Nyanza as a gym. That is what we are saying. Let the employer engage more, invest more, not even invest in anything physically, emotional support, concern, love, so that we get home. Number 2, you don't work alone. You should be able to get these people together, either in gangs or one big gang, and nurture that kind of a spirit of a group which we can call and tell them, we do this because of A, B, C, D, and E. If Kenya grows, we all grow. So get these people to tie together, like each other, nurse each other, assist each other, be a party or a partner to them insofar as their welfare is concerned, insofar as their unity is concerned, insofar as their harmony is concerned. Things which may not be very high sounding, but very, very important insofar as staff morale, staff productivity, staff welfare is concerned.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Do you believe in mentorship, and do you practice it? And if you do, can you give us examples of judicial officers, for instance, or judicial staff that you mentor?
I have friends in the judiciary. Mentoring would be in a involvement in that direction. I may not have any particular case of anybody I mentor, but I mentor in the air. I am a living teacher. That's why you find me shouting all over, and I don't give there are no issues about that, because wherever I sit, I'm teaching. By the time we leave this place, you'll have gotten so much from me. The teacher in me does not keep quiet. That is a part of my mentoring. Whenever I find anybody, how many people, anybody I find, yourself included, if we had 1 minute with you, have you gone back to college? Are you writing your other degree? etc. That is where I am, personal development and concern for everybody else. Many of the workers in the judiciary are now my children. I deal with them as such. I nurse them. I parent them. Not that direct mentorship, but mentorship in a broad sense of the word.
Thank you, Judge. Now, you were once subject of investigation in a tribunal to remove you. And without necessarily going into the decision of the tribunal, I just want to ask you, because the issue that came up, one of the issues that were discussed in the tribunal concerned an order that you gave, which was considered sub judice.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you whether you think as a judge you ought to concern yourself or be guided by the consequences of your decision. To put it in context, in the matter before the tribunal, the allegation was that one judge in Nairobi had given an order against a strike notice. And the affected parties appeared before you subsequently and sought protection, essentially, from the consequences of disobeying that order. So that in the long run, you are in effect insulating these, the people before you, let me just call them the employees before you. You are insulating them against the consequences of the order that was given in Nairobi, bearing in mind that the order in Nairobi was given before the matter before you. Could you comment on that, please?
It is unfortunate that I have to engage on that one. This is a judicial service of Kenya, and they handle that matter. But shyly, let me tell you that, one, you know the periphery of the matter. The matter was more complex. What happened is that the JSC asked me to answer that matter, and I did answer. And the answer I gave, I did not suppose that anybody would require any more efforts. I do not like this. To ask me
Judge, I'm not even questioning the decision. The question I'm asking here is, as you make a decision as a judge, should you have a broader outlook so that the consequences of the decision, other than looking at the letter of the law, the consequences of the decision that you make, you take them into consideration as you make your decision?
You look at that, you are right. You must look at it 360 degrees. But as you look at it 360 degrees, when you're through with the first round of 360 degrees, you must come back 360 degrees and ask yourself, should I not do this? What are the other consequences? So you have two sets of consequences. The set of consequences which would occur if you didn't give the interim orders, and this other set which would occur if you issued the interim orders. Now, and that is why this matter is so ugly. I answered all that. Because I cannot answer your question without referring to the substance of that matter. Allow me to get into that, just a little bit of it. I pray that we shall not be playing around with anybody else, because I would be so sorry. I'm a peacemaker. I don't like confrontation. But
You don't have to respond to the merits of the matter. It's just that concept I wanted to get, and I think essentially
I agree
you have
with
responded.
You must look at it all around, 360
Thank you.
degrees.
Thank you, Judge.
You should also look at the other way, 360 degrees. That is my answer.
Thank you. Still on the tribunal, but from another aspect.
Please.
You filed a case against the JSC in an attempt to arrest the proceedings before the tribunal.
Yes.
Now, to put the matter in context for us and the rest that maybe would want to know, what were your grievances in that matter? And secondly, having gone through that process, are there any deficiencies that you noted that you would wish to have addressed or that you would wish to have us relook?
One, a good commissioner, that matter is alive and in court at Milimani. Petition number 88 of 2019 is alive. So we could be bordering on one or two things. Although sub judice has been used as an excuse to run away from facts. I don't know whether I should move on to that. The JSC, to give a plain answer, as the pleadings or the advocates have the pleadings, it would be rude to say that the easier way would be to look at it. Or you invite me onto we are colleagues. You can invite me into a private sermon. We can deal with that very thoroughly. You'll be able to understand it. If you wanted to bring it out here and we thrash it, I think it would be ugly because it will cause confusion here. And we are warned, and very, very clearly in HR circles, that you don't go to your employer and start quarreling with him head on.
It's okay, Judge. If it makes you uncomfortable to address that question, it's okay, we can leave it. Now, maybe we can go
the answers are very, very easy and very near myself, but it is not fair that we do it here with the JSC.
Thank you.
Invite me to a private section. We are colleagues, and the JSC and myself, we are all friends. I said I don't have any enemies, and we shall be able to thrash it. And I'll give you very satisfactory answers. And when I can't answer, we can research into it.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Now, sexual harassment. In the Judiciary Code of Conduct, sexual harassment has been given a wide scope. We have included in it the meaning assigned to it in the Sexual Offences Act, in the Public Officers Ethics Act, and in the Employment Act. Now, I was looking at the definition or the meaning assigned to the term sexual harassment in the Employment Act. Basically, it has been said to mean a request for sexual favors which contains a threat of detrimental treatment or a promise of preferential treatment. Now, considering the power dynamics at play in a relationship between a junior employee and a senior employee, would you say that a request of this nature from a senior employee to a junior employee has in it or has imputed in it either a threat or a promise of that nature?
One would have to get to the facts of the matter. Your definition of sexual harassment is respectable. When that happens, it truly amounts to harassment because there's no consensus insofar as the matter, the request or the lack of request, that interaction is not permitted by one of the parties, and therefore it becomes an issue. To be able to answer you precisely, you require to get to the facts of the matter. You require to get more evidence, more details to answer your question. But as we speak, misconduct to that extent, from a junior officer from a senior officer to a junior officer, or vice versa, by your definition, amounts to sexual harassment. And it is primitive, it is not permissible, it should be eradicated, it should be outcasted. my words.
Judge, it's not my definition, it's the definition in the Employment Act.
Thank you.
And the essence of my question is, by virtue of that relationship,
Yes.
the fact that, for instance, I'm a junior employee, I'm a chief magistrate, and hypothetically, a judge of the Supreme Court is asking me for sexual favors. The dynamics of the relationship between us, clearly, from where I sit, it can be implied, or it can be the element of threat or promise is sort of implied in that request. That's essentially what I'm asking. I don't know if you're getting my question.
No. You can relate to that. You have the liberty. It's your natural or human right to relate with anybody of your choice. And the relationship are not an issue of a status or office. A relationship is an issue of a consensus. You can relate with anybody. I don't want to give my example, unfortunately, or your example, but where I say you, I don't mean precisely you. I mean any of us. So in that case, we would permit that kind of a situation, particularly if it is wholly and out of for serious business, like marriage, etc. If it is not any other, although I don't want to be a moralist, we are saying the issue is not the office. The issue is the conduct of the parties, or one of the parties. That is what would constitute the offense.
Okay, so I understand you to mean you do not agree with that analogy.
No.
Okay,
I agree with it.
Oh.
Only my clarification is that this thing is all round. You can relate this way. Anyway, the issue of status in a relationship doesn't arise. What issues we look for is whether it was mutual or not mutual, where there was a violence or not no violence, whether there was inducement or no inducement. That is what we look for if we were looking at it. We want that I taught my criminal law in law school, 1981, 81. I've done almost 0% of criminal law ever since. I'm not a criminal law practitioner, but I'm a lawyer.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge. I've gotten your answer. Now, I have looked at your application and the papers that you filed accompanying your application, as well as the reports we got from the statutory bodies through which we were vetting you.
Yes.
Starting with your application from JSC 2A.
Yes.
In your self-assessment.
Yes.
You described yourself, let me just read it.
I have it here.
I am a scholar who may have been misplaced at a crucial stage, as is demonstrated by my academic pursuits now at PhD level. This piqued my curiosity. What exactly did you mean by misplaced?
What I'm saying is that from day one I was a teacher. Somewhere along the line I maybe become maybe a lawyer, etc. Issues of influence, issues of status, etc. But basically what I was saying is this. I would have gone up the ladder and become a teacher in some university somewhere and enhance that to professorship.